Well, good morning, everyone. April Marie here, filling in for Richard and Valerie. Keeping me company and out of trouble, Steve West this
Or
morning.
I'm trying to get you into more trouble. I'm not sure which.
It could be. I've got a whole topic for after Steve's turn. I just opened up my X and I'm like, what the hot holy mess is this? We're going to talk about that. Before we get to Steve's turn, it is 9:06 this morning. Going to be a beautiful day. The Weather Channel has pretty much a beautiful forecast for us. So we are looking at a high of 82, sunny, just a beautiful day. So look forward to that. We've talked earlier today and teased it a little bit, but Steve had himself a mighty fine weekend,
Yeah.
and we want to hear all
Well,
about it.
All right, let's go back
Yes.
a little bit because Friday was one of those weird days where I actually put out and said it on the air. My wife had gone in to see a doctor because she was worried about something. She'd woke up that morning and slurred words and right side not
no.
feeling good. So you start to immediately think
Absolutely.
stroke. And she thought that too. So she ends up at the doctor and they check her out and everything was, for the most part, normal. Her blood pressure was a little elevated. And when the emergency room did a CAT scan, they saw an area on the left side of her brain that they were a little concerned about. So they said, we're going to send you to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And this, I should say this was Thursday morning. So she stays overnight. Friday morning, I'm on the air. I'm trying to get updates throughout the
Yeah.
course of this and concentrate on the show. And they did a full MRI,
Okay.
and everything came back clear. But just because this all had happened, they put her on a 3-week trial basis of a couple of different medications. And apparently a stroke thing is also a cholesterol medication, even though her cholesterol number is not high. But there's also a blood thinner. But what they're thinking right now is that maybe like a bit of plaque that, we get in our bodies
Right.
kind of dislodged and hit a part of her brain or a nerve somewhere up in her head that kind of messed things up. So, but they're keeping an eye on her. So the good news is my wife is better
Okay. Good.
to the point where I mentioned this earlier on in the show. Friday nights, our good friends at Siluria Brewing Company, I host where they've hosted things like
The
Jawbone
trivia.
Jam and
Yep.
the Christmas Extravaganza. I host a music trivia game each and every Friday night. Starts at 7 o'clock. My wife gets out of the hospital in time
She went.
and insisted on going to the
Wow.
trivia game. And I don't share with her the answers because she's playing, I'm hosting. And we're in what we call league play. So I'm not going to share with her any of the answers of any of the songs that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And she happens to hear this song, and you got to guess title, artist, year it came out, within one either way. She got all 3 parts right. This is a perfect example of my wife, Karen. If you know Karen, you know this is a fact. She said, got all 3 parts right, just had a stroke.
Aww.
Everybody at the table, of course, laughed. Everybody around her goes, huh?
Huh? So did they say it was a stroke? Was it a TIA or a
They
stroke
think it was a
event?
TIA.
Okay.
So, again, she's in that area, but, thank you for your thoughts and your prayers. We got a lot of them over the course of the day on Friday, and I appreciate that very much. So, Saturday, I'm with her pretty much most of the day, except in the morning when Matt Nicholson, who I'm going to go ahead and bring on right now, we do our 2-hour radio show. Show number 2 happened just this past Saturday. And Matt, good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning.
All right. He's my resident driver. I have him on, and we've kept him on because he has raced out at places like Talladega Short Track and other different places around the Southeast. And did this show, it just kind of started a long time ago, more than 15 years ago now, as a little 15-minute segment on a 1-hour Saturday show that I was doing. And it just started to grow. It became an hour. And then the station needed to fill 2 hours, and that's a lot of talk about nothing but NASCAR. And had somebody ask me, would you talk about Formula One? Well, if we talk about Formula One, probably ought to talk IndyCar because that's really more U.S.-based. And it just kept growing from there. Got a co-host, producer John, who's still with us right now. He joined in. And the co-host previously was starting to ask certain drivers to come in, asked Matt to come in one day. And Matt got real comfortable on the microphone real quick, which that's a trick. You know this. You've been in broadcasting long enough to know, April. This is something of a trick. Not a whole lot of people get comfortable on a microphone just like that. Matt did. So when that co-host went away, moved back to mid-Atlantic area, Matt stayed with me. And we've been together now, a decade?
This is year 9 for me.
Okay. So almost a decade for us. And we've kind of bounced around a couple of different stations. We spent a good period of time out with a good friend of ours by the name of Grady out in a station in East Central Alabama over in Anniston. And appreciate him to no end. But like I said, when I started working here 4 years ago, January of 2022, James found out about some of the other stuff that I do, not only radio, but I PA at Talladega, PA for Barber Motorsports Park, which actually started that same year. And he wanted to have something of a racing presence for us here at Cumulus. So when he was starting to work up the podcasting studio, he said, what do you think about doing a podcast with us? Okay. And Matt and I were like, okay, what can we talk about? Well, we wanted to keep it about 30 minutes or so. And, you and I, Matt, we just kind of go back and forth about the subject pretty much every week, right?
Yeah, we pretty much start on Sunday afternoons and have something determined by early Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and we'll come in, we'll record it Tuesday afternoon. Sometimes it'll be in a podcast studio with producer Molly from Jocks. Sometimes we have to play the home game just because schedules don't allow it, and that's where our regular weekend producer, John, he comes in and he helps out on that. But either way, we try and our level best to do a podcast each and every week. Maybe it's a solo thing, maybe I'm just doing it or Matt's doing it, but we're going to give you a podcast every single week. It'll show up on Real Talk 99.5 TV, and thank you very much for checking it out. So then we go to last year. Again, Abby Awards are a really, really cool thing. Alabama Broadcasters Association puts on the equivalent of the Oscars, the Emmys, whatever you want to call, every year for radio and television all around the state of Alabama. And Richard went the first year, and then Valerie went, and they both looked at me and said, okay, you're up. So I went last year, and I was sitting at the table with our general manager, James, along with AJ and his wife. And AJ and I started looking at all of these different categories that were coming up and going, we could have put in for that. Oh, we could have put in for that. Oh, we could have put in for that. So as I told you an hour ago, I grabbed the program and took it home and grabbed a highlighter and went, these are all the categories I think we could enter. And it just so happened that one of those was Best Radio Podcast. There's the trophy. Showing it right now.
Look at that. If you're on the YouTube.
Yeah, if you're on our YouTube page, there's the trophy.
Picture of Steve with his trophy.
And we won in our first submission.
I love that.
For it. And I cannot thank producers John and Molly enough, and I can't thank Matt enough, because I rely on him. Because, yeah, I know about racing, but being behind the wheel of a race car and having that experience of being in the competition is something entirely different. And he allows me to be able to bounce off of him and go, okay, if I were to do this, what am I experiencing? Because we've done, Matt, you and I have done what, 2 racing experiences so far?
Yes.
Okay. I can imagine it. I can do 150 miles per hour. We were limited. It was, we were doing a 5-lap thing, so I was rev limited to 150 miles per hour at Talladega. But even at 150 miles per hour in a race car, sitting in that middle lane, I took a moment going through turns 1 and 2 on like lap 3 and thought, what would it be like if there was a car in front of me, a car behind me, a car to my left, and a car to my right? And I started to get even that much more respect for those drivers that do this, at whatever level that it is. And then the next time we went to Atlanta, we didn't have any rev limiter. Now, Matt, being the racing driver that he is, kicked my butt. I mean, you figured out things that a seasoned racer would figure out. And you and I talked about it after the fact, and I went, oh, that's what I did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And But same thing. You start doing 165, 170, whatever it was that I was doing, and Matt was probably doing 10 miles an hour faster than I was. And I start to get the same picture in my head. What if I've got a car in front of me and a car behind me and a car beside me, or maybe two cars beside me and we're three wide? And again, that just blows
changes
up.
everything, yeah.
So that's been the fun of this. And we've just had, I'm not going to speak for you, Matt. I'll let you speak for yourself. But this show, more than 15 years old, in whatever form and under whatever title and whatever station and whatever podcast it has taken, has just been a labor of love, because I love motorsports. The idea of just getting behind the wheel of a car and going quick has its attraction, but the truth of the matter is you got a whole bunch of people out there who have just, witnessed the traffic report this morning. Crazy. But
True.
to get out there
That is
and
true.
to do it on a racetrack is just so cool. And if I had been smart as a younger kid, when I first saw, like, for example, the 1979 Daytona 500, and thought, I like cars, and I think I like to go fast, do the old Ricky Bobby thing, start bugging my dad about maybe trying to go racing. But Matt, you've done it. And this has just this show has become a labor of love, because despite the fact that I can't make a career out of racing in and of itself, I can certainly make a career out of talking about it.
And you are, and winning awards for it.
Yeah.
Love that.
So Matt, I'll let you take it over from here, because again, you've got that experience of being behind the wheel, and now your experience of doing it on the radio.
Yeah, it's like you said, it has been, perfect description of labor of love, because, with your broadcasting level and tying it together with my level of experience being behind the wheel and putting it all, balling it up into one, it was that moment Saturday night when they called us out and announced that we got it. And we turned around and looked at each other like, seriously? And then we got up and walked to the stage. It was to me, you've been there before plenty of other times, but that was my first time ever at the Abbey Awards. And, I can put that feather in my cap. I'm undefeated at the Abbey Awards. I'm going to try to go undefeated again next year.
Sure. Yeah. We're going to put in for it next year.
And stay undefeated. But, it was surreal to me, because I'm going like, okay, does it validate me as a broadcaster, or does this more validate all of the effort and time and work and working our tails off, putting into our platforms and programs?
Yeah.
And I thought this puts in, and this validates all the work that we've done.
Yeah. Because
it was surreal.
If you know how the judging situation goes, we're judged by our peers. But the thing about it is we're not judged by our peers here in the state of Alabama. We're judged, they take all of the entries, the Alabama Broadcast Association does, and they turn it over to a neighboring state affiliate broadcasting association and have a panel of theirs do the judging. So this is people that aren't familiar really with the state of Alabama much at all. They're hearing all of these, whether it's radio podcast or best TV newscaster, or for Pat over there on Jocks on Three Man Front in the midday, he gets best local radio sportscaster, large market. These are people from outside of the state that listen to it and go, that's good. And that's the best we've heard in this category. So can't thank them enough. Cannot thank them enough. And David said this too. Steve, got to listen to your show Saturday morning. Really good show. Glad we got something like that local.
Nice.
That's the kind of stuff that we love. And it goes back to that text that I was talking about last hour. I play country music because it makes you comfortable. If somebody else is in, if say Brooks Burdett fills in, I play stuff that I know that she likes because it makes her comfortable.
Right.
Not everybody's going to like it. All I would ask is that even if you don't like motorsports, tune in, check it out. If you don't like the show, I understand it, but you never know. You might actually find something you like about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's hard not to like you.
I appreciate that.
And Matt. Matt, I don't know you, but I'm sure you're very likable.
So
well, I'll try to be.
Yeah, I couldn't do this without him, because as things have gone along, like I said, I've come to rely on him a whole lot more, because he has that viewpoint looking out that windshield or that piece of Lexan behind that steering wheel, going balls to the wall with your hair on fire. And, I haven't had that experience, so I rely on him a whole heck of a lot. So, Matt, dude, thank you so much. Can't say thank you enough.
Absolutely, man. Same here because getting tied together with this thing 9 years ago, it put me somewhere that I never even pictured myself being in a broadcasting form. I never pictured myself doing that, and like you said, you never pictured yourself being behind the wheel, and now everything's all balled together into one. And I am just, I've still been in a state of disbelief for 2 days now, and now, like I said this the other day, there's absolutely no telling where this is about to take off to now.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Matt, unfortunately, our timing situation has gotten us to the point where I've got to wrap this up. I appreciate you calling in, brother, and we've got a podcast to do tomorrow.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about it a little bit more later on today, man.
No problem.
All right, have a good one.
Very nice. Again, very excited for you
I appreciate
guys.
it so much. Him, again, producer John Myers, and producer Molly Robinson. Can't thank them enough.
I love them.
They were all so integral in this. This was not a
cool.
one-person thing. This was an entire team effort.
Well, congratulations to you guys, and everybody tune in. Where they can find it on the YouTube, they can find it on the website.
Yes, if you go on to Real Talk 99.5 TV, we'll have it posted probably Wednesday. At the latest, it'll be Thursday. And then the regular show, the big show as we like to call it now, Saturday morning, starts 8 a.m. bright and early.
There you go. All right, hold tight. You're listening to April Marie Fogel and Steve West as we fill in for Richard and Valerie. You guys hold tight. Well, good morning, everyone. April Marie here, playing with my microphone like I've never been on radio before. Steve West keeping me out of trouble, or at least trying to, although he did talk over the last break by like 5 minutes, which is something I
Yeah, I did my best impression of Leland.
That was it. I was like, wait, there was a break there? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I used to be really bad. I'm better about it now, but I used to be really bad about that. All right, we're gonna have a very short segment here, but I'll say as we come into the next hour, we will get into some of today's top headlines for our final half hour of the program, including President Donald Trump posting on Truth Social an AI made image of him portraying himself as Jesus. Ooh, buddy. Okay,
I bet you that's got some people blowing their minds.
if you've never heard me angry about a Trump Truth Social, you're about to. So you want to come back to that, and you can call me every name in the book, but the man drives me crazy sometimes. For the love. So hold tight. We'll talk about that. If you haven't seen it yet, feel free to jump on whatever your favorite media is to see an image. Leftist and those on the right, both angry. So we'll get into that. We'll also talk some more Alabama headlines in just a minute. Hold tight. April Marie and Steve here. Well, good morning, everyone. Hey, Steve, want to know what I did that last break? I did I did a run by hugging.
Run by hugging.
A run by hugging. That's what it was.
Okay.
Of Damien in the Jock studio. So
Okay.
the last time I had a break. It wasn't today, but the last time I was here that he was there, I like hung out at the door frame, like, hey, can I waiting for him to take a break so I could give him a hug and say hi. And he kind of whispers over his shoulder. He's like, you're still in camera range, right?
Well, you've been all morning long, so why not?
And I was like, oh, I did not know that. So, okay, good to know. So this time I go in there and he's not on air. The little sign outside his office says his mic is not hot. So I whisper in there, I'm like, are you on camera? Can I come hug you? And he's like, I am on camera. You can still come hug me. And so I gave him a hug and ran away, which is really fun because there are hosts down there over on the Jock side who have no idea who I am, and vice versa. They see me at the Cumulus Cafe, which is the fancy name for the vending machine room, coffee room down the hall, and they're like, "Who is this woman and who keyed her up?" But now I did an on air drive by run by hugging is what I'm going to call it. So I entertained myself. Cannot be left alone. Well, I mentioned it before we went to break, and I'm pretty peeved by it, to be honest. And the more comments I look at it, the more times I look at the image, it just makes me more and more frustrated. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, President Donald Trump has posted an AI-generated image of himself. I say President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump or one of his staffers, with his permission, posted an AI-generated image of himself as Jesus. Now, this comes on the heels of Trump in the White House, kind of being in a back and forth, although both sides have denied it, with the Vatican and the Pope over the Pope's condemnation of Iran and in the United States actions in Iran. And so the image itself it's Trump as if he's Jesus healing a sick man. Now, a couple of people have noticed, and you can see it clear as day, that in the original image, it's soldiers in the background, kind of in the sky, and one of those soldiers has been turned into a demonic-like creature in the version that has Trump in there. It's really quite disturbing. I'm not going to lie. Absolutely disturbing. There's demons over Trump's left shoulder. You can see the demon. That's the only way to describe the shadowy figure. He's getting condemned from the left, like, oh, Trump thinks he's Jesus. Oh, this just kind of plays into his ego type thing. And then from the right going, what are you doing? Like, what's happening here? And my response to this is simply, Trump has surrounded himself with people of faith. As a matter of fact, earlier we were talking about J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, both of them strong Christians, both of them Catholic Christians, both of them very quick to talk about their faith, very quick to minister when they're able to. And to have Trump out here posting this, to me, it shows a level, and we've seen this from Trump, by the way, over the years. It shows a level of, I don't want to say ignorance. Ignorance probably isn't the right word, but a lack of understanding of who he is, of who his position and how it impacts people and how important faith is to individuals. So Trump has made it a point over the years, and he'll say he's a saved again Christian, but he doesn't. I really don't see. I don't see what goes on behind closed doors, and I don't see in a public way Trump acting like a man who has made, given his life over to the Lord. What I hope comes of this is I hope that this is an opportunity for those around Trump. And there's very specific, by the way, people are saying, the one person crediting Paula White, who is a Trump advisor and pastor, who Allie Beth Stuckey says is constantly comparing Trump to Christ and therefore letting these lines be blurred. I hope that this is an opportunity. And I always say, whenever there's an opportunity to minister, I try not to preach too much, especially when I'm on the radio. You're going to hear at every show that I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe he was born. I believe he died for our sins. I believe he rose again. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Telling you what, I hope that this is an opportunity for those who are around Trump to minister to him. Not just to say people are angry about this post, but help him understand why people are angry about this post. Help him understand the importance of honoring images of our Lord. Help him understand how and why presenting himself as Jesus Christ, as the Savior, how and why that's offensive, how and why that's wrong. I really do. And we've heard Trump in his own words before talk about his faith and even one time in a joking manner question his salvation. But I think that hopefully opens the door for people in his life to say, whoa, 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 whoa. The counsel you're getting is wrong and is bad. And this crosses every line. And I really do believe, I believe it of everyone, that everyone, there's somebody in their life who's going to be able to get them across that line, who's going to be able to open up their eyes, and that our Lord works in very mysterious ways that we don't understand. And maybe this will be that point. And if not this, then something else soon, because Trump truly needs to find salvation in a way that's personal and meaningful can be seen in his words, can be seen in his actions. This is infuriating. It's infuriating. I hate calling out Trump posts. I called out the Easter one too, because I was like, there's a time and a place for everything, and that was unnecessary. This is unnecessary. This is ridiculous. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Okay, it's also trending today, and I mentioned this at the beginning of I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. One of the biggest things happening right now is Congressman the congressman, and Eric Swalwell, as I close my window here, Eric Swalwell dropping out of the governor's race, and that probably not being enough. He is being accused by a former staffer of sexual assault. He is being accused, and there is video of him doing all sorts of extramarital stuff. There have been messages of leaked text messages, Snapchat histories, all sorts of stuff. So 14 hours ago, he posted on his X account, "I am suspending my campaign for governor. To my family, staff, friends, and supporters, I'm deeply sorry for the mistakes in judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegations that have been made, but that's my fight, not a campaign's." The question is, what happens in Congress? Do they kick him out? What do they do, and how fast and soon do they do it? Do Democrats take action, or do they cover up? Do they make excuses? Do they slow things down? We're going to see that. We're going to start to see which Democrats today, because this just the accusations started unfolding towards the end of the week last week, really came to a breaking point this weekend with people not only anonymously making these claims, but people using their names, stepping in front of a camera, a man talking about his wife's experience. We're starting to really see people come forward and say, this is my experience with the congressman in his role as a member of Congress, in his role as a candidate, and this is how it has impacted my life. It's devastating for the women who are victimized or feel victimized by him. It's devastating for those around him who have trusted him and put him in a position of power. But I really hope the Democrats get it together on this front and make sure that he is removed from his seat in Congress. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back in our final segment, we'll go over some of the top headlines, including I've got a question online about my story on the Magic City Acceptance Academy, so we'll talk about that some more. I mentioned getting into the statewide races. We'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll wrap up today's program. You guys held tight. It's April Marie filling in for Richard and Valerie with Steve West. Well, good morning, everyone. I've truly enjoyed being here with you. Thank you for listening, especially those of you sending messages and chatting with me on YouTube. Steve, thank you for keeping me out of trouble. Always a
Did
good
my best.
time. So far, so good. Okay, so some of today's top headlines, and I got it. I was looking at during one of the breaks at the family, and I really want y'all to keep them in your prayers for the family involved in the car accident over the weekend. It claimed the life of a mother and two children. There are additionally two other children that are still hospitalized. Uh, there's a post on the Stay Free Ministries, and it looks like one of the boys who passed away. There was twins. One of the boys who passed away his father is a pastor, Pastor Josh, and so they've got some messages up on that. It's Ashley Bryant and Briley passed away. There's also an effort now to raise money for services for the family. But it was a very obviously an unexpected car accident that happened this Saturday. Please just keep that family in your prayers. Keep the children who are classmates, friends, Sunday school, Bible study, all of the things with these young kids in this family in your prayers. What a devastating loss for their communities and their loved ones. We have talked a little bit about, I mentioned on 1819 News, I've got a story there about Magic City Acceptance Academy. They were once billed and claimed as the LGBTQ school. They said during the rehearing for their charter that they're the same school. They've just, they're doing the same thing, the same services. They've just rebranded. So they've taken away the rainbows and repainted. They have taken the LGBTQ mission off the website and out of their documents, but they did make it clear, and you can see the video yourself during their renewal, that they are, in fact, the same school, run by the same people, with all the same things. They are looking now to expand to get additional. At one point, they said they wanted 500 to 550 students. They wanted to increase and go down to fifth grade, because that's what you need a bunch of fifth graders influenced by a bunch of leftist propaganda, and that they want to get 2 additional floors in the building next door. So if you want to see what's going on with that, you can read my story on 1819news.com. Additionally, the top story of the day over there is the Freedom Caucus Network, their response to calls for a Freedom Caucus here in Alabama. I wrote about Congressman Barry Moore talking about the effectiveness, and I actually interviewed Mo Brooks as well, talking about the effectiveness of the Freedom Caucus in D.C. and how even though there's only 40 of them in D.C., leadership still works with them, negotiates, and they're able to pull the whole caucus to the right. When Tuberville gets in, this is my prediction. My prediction is that there's going to be a honeymoon period, and Tuberville is going to get some super conservative things done. And then the machine will start working against him the way they worked against Trump in his first term, which is to say the people who have been in power, who Tuberville gets in and starts really examining and looking at, whether it's a Doge style looking at, whether it's just saying you've been in this swampy job for too long, new cabinet members, whatever those things are. Trump, at some point, we're going to see the Trump style pushback here in Alabama. And having a Freedom Caucus could put pressure on the legislature to continue to show support for Tuberville, even after the new wears off, even after the honeymoon period. The national network pointed to Alabama's history as one of the most corrupt states in the nation as why they have not focused on it. I really am hearing and seeing an appetite for this, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. As you're talking to your lawmakers, because we're in an election year, even those incumbents, ask them what they think about a House Freedom Caucus. Ask them, would they be a member of a House Freedom Caucus? Ask them what their priorities will be to support Governor Tuberville should he beat Doug Jones, which I pretty much think is a done deal, but you never know. I just want to really encourage you to get out there and do that. Earlier, we talked about the Artemis II crew. I am thoroughly loving getting to know these astronauts. I think that this does a lot in terms of refocusing us as a nation to what matters in the space race, in our desire to rebuild our space program, to look at what lies ahead, and to give us some hope. I'm a Space Coast girl. I am from Brevard County, Florida. I remember shuttle launches. As a matter of fact, even here in Birmingham, Alabama, I had commissioned a piece from an artist in Tampa. I have this gorgeous painting. It's my one true thing is I love art. I absolutely love art. And so I have this gorgeous painting, and it's the reflection of a launch. It's actually the reflection of a SpaceX launch on the water as it took off. I think space exploration is amazing. I think what NASA has done in terms of kind of reeling us all in with the social media and with really humanizing those astronauts in their trip, I love everything about it. So if you've missed any of that, and you're looking for a way to kind of step away from all of the politics this week, I want to encourage you to go out and do that. Go check out what they did, who those involved in it are. The NASA administrator, who's not taking his salary, took the time to send everybody who'd been working night and day and around the clock pizza, and it's just fun to watch the Trump administration prioritize things that are going to make America great again. We've talked about Governor Ivey signing bills. She signed into law the 10 Commandments Act, which allows for schools to have privately purchased copies of the 10 Commandments. Lots going on, you guys. We've got Andrew McLean coming up next, and then we will have Leland Live. Stay tuned for them. It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Steve, for keeping me out of trouble.
Happy to do it.
You can find me online at APRYLMARIE. Take care and have a great week.